Chisarvarendo. Chisarvara. Sanji Judan Zojin Chonamala Janse Barda Dana Josen Darga Jinso Jivi Sonan Jin Rola Banja Sanjin Jabayo Sanji Judan Zojin Chonamala Janse Barda Dana Josen Darga Jinso Jivi Sonan Jin Rola Banja Sanjin Jabayo Sanji Chudan Sojin Chonan La Janja Barda Dana Jinso Jivi Sonan Yin Rola Pansha Sanjin Jabayo Simchen Tamche Dewa Dan Devi Jadan Damba Yasha Dunga Dan Dunga Je Jadan Chava Dunga Mebe Dewa Damba Dan Mandra Jajan Nira Chadan Nidan Chavi Danya Chimbo Dan Niva Yuraj Simchen Tamche Dewa Na Devi Jadan Damba Yasha Dunga Dan Dunga Je Jadan Chava Yasha Dunga Mebe Dewa Mandra Jajan Nira Chadan Nidan Chavi Danya Chimbo Dan Niva Yuraj Simchen Tamche Dewa Dan Devi Jadan Damba Yasha Dunga Dan Dunga Je Jadan Chava Dunga Mebe Dewa Damba Dan Mandra Yasha Nira Chadan Nidan Chavi Danya Chimbo La Niv Kyura Je Kanje Senjo Lan Chunru La Ne Mandara Dan Chen Nu Chan Dan Danga Nori Oji Mamba Senta Sawa Nebe Dan Kayan Kanchen Parkiro Shanrab de Gir Guanzamba Kanyamba Teta Tamche Tava Tambi Guju Tibi Sonyan Shananda Yai Hadan Namadam Chi Oda Jasana Chujin Chola Shiva Shiva No Sanji Sonara de Shian Divi Yavan Dada Shaki Tambi Chunyan Shananda Yai Divi Jasayanda Ranchan Sabi Tigirwa Tunjan Shiva Tenan Chota Tachan Kiva Yan Devi Nobinya Jajanda Chonda Yaman Pio Danan Kwetana Divi Sonyan Dombi Shanin Joyan Chime Nadan Zojigo Sonam Jaki Jian Joni Simna Shoji Gongjan Dan Nishan Kunyan Navi Dosu Nohan Yum Bayan Nakan Seva Shiva Yimbe Tidan Samberji Yunanamji Sanji Sonda Chigu Lante Rabda Nyambara Shavi Lai Kadana Dan Ujan Ka Chirhan Dan Mei Kanan Dan Ruwa Kanji Dhaka Chasam Tamche Kada Daga Chudan Sho Ta Yangche Chudro Tamche La Samdra Hidek Shaya Dan
Again, good morning, everyone. Welcome, Dharma friends, Tashi Dele to all of you. May everything be auspicious.
Tene Takasanga Umatsawa Hirabke Josha Niluk Samatomanya Tonte Chanyan Shevala Tetavi Getsa He Mazuchik Simchen Tonda Soso Sanji Traviachik Ched Tene Chanyan Cheke Yan Sambatan Dorna Jangi Ched Mazu Chun Chanyan Chego Sambachik this took some Nishinaro Senare, Tati Konon Goni, Konon Tende Chikatani, Sango Yosare.
First of all, let's begin with generating the motivation with which we will today explain and listen to these profound teachings on the meaning of emptiness, which is the topic that is being expounded in the root verses by Nāgārjuna on the middle way. And the motivation is that may these teachings, the listening, the act of listening, the act of explaining them, serve as causes for virtue that lead to the awakening of all sentient beings. In short, let's generate the motivation that focuses on benefiting others so that they may reach awakening.
Ganga Tenchang Revan Jong, Sayaga, Tenchang Revan Jong, say de Tangaso lay down, Gombi, Getchilla Tene, Tene, Trevi Navan Jong Yong Chigla, Tenchang Revan Jong, Cigarettes and Kasa, Mutajo, that is Shishim Big Up Dow cigarette.
Last time we heard the verses of homage where they start with the line, I pay homage to the one who has explained the profound doctrine of dependent arising, and we heard that dependent arising and the way how we perceive everything as the way we do, that has as the root cause both karma as well as the habituation, the habit or imprint of things.
Tati Kaulayan, Je lay down, Kumba siete so, Koran yan, Uni Yodaba Chig down. Telatene Nasola Navi Zug down Dala Soba Tia Yang Nawater Meba, Tindriki Kapado Shake Meba. Pa Lis Api Kaula Yang, Sosola Nawa Samchik. Gomba Chikomcha, Cerela Yang, Cerbereni, Rambajan the Gomion, Gontub De Yang Nawatar Madaba, Yena Yang, Gombachi Nasola. Mumito, no, you. Then they on the Carison Court said the paid over Yana, Pena, Juma Kanke, Simchend over journey, the Tene, Amachile, Pogaki. Then they Chictorona, Amateon, Jimmy Simchen Chigre, Pogadian, Jimmy Simchen Chigre. They know and chinning us so young, Savi. Lay down your non talk com chassis, this so young Chijamatar Zunyantar Tene Chachatar, see what in this in Dorna Tamche Masun Nawatar, Madapa Yambati, Chikpa, Chikyang, to some Chigo, Yosare.
Let on your mom gomshi tang delichum and Nawatanika.
Tinania, Joti Chinguni and Davach, Yotavach, and David is a young Tory one Davach, then they Mayam, but Jotian, Turba Ranjan, Jivitian, Turba Ranjan.
Gumaking Yamatang Puguchik Zoshana. So the causes, the two main causes for dependent arising are the force of karma and the force of habituation. And we might think, well, maybe these two elements as the cause for dependent arising or interdependence are truly existent. Well, that is not the case, in the same way as what arises out of those causes, all the appearances and the way how we perceive things, whether it's sounds, whether it's forms, all of them are not truly existent the way how we perceive them, just as the causes are as well not truly existent. Everything appears the way we perceive it in a deluded manner because of the power of habituation and karma. It is a little bit like if you take a magician and the magician manifests through his magical skills a mother and a child of that mother. Well, that mother is a magical display, just as is her son. And therefore we can all conclude, well, that is an illusion. It is a deceptive appearance. In the same way, the cause for appearances, the way we perceive them, is, as we have heard, karma, afflictions, habituations. And these causes are themselves deceptive, not truly existent, not truly established. So we can say that as well the cause, as well as the result, both are deceptive, illusionary.
다 나서 직된 때 레다 똑바 된지기 또 그지 나용하지 연반 나시 플라이니 세다 여바 세데 차상한테 나셔요 린는 것도 정용하지 말도 운이게 양 거지 접다가 된지 마연바 된지 양 아까 간세 공고리 세나리 차상 찍반로
찍반로 레탕 녀몬 레 중ዌ라임베
탐체 리다 녀몬 것도 없고 나용만 철와
라소
나와임바
In the world, or in the universe, we speak about different ways of existence. So, for example, there are the so-called hell realms, then there are the existence realms of gods, and humans, animals, and so on. And all of these arise out of karma and kleshas, afflictions. And none of them, therefore, are truly existent. In each of these realms, the way appearances of each of these realms are therefore not truly existent. That is the same for each of these realms. All are illusionary.
다 근데 연비 철때 산지 좀단데 랑가 송 단단가서 간결 된저게 나나 찌단 거배 망오요래.
The Buddha has said in the Kangyur, in the collection of sutras by the Buddhas, several lines regarding this.
근데 이놈들 이제 산지게 송샤바 지금 말도요. 가서 마송 와서 제니지 transhaba 텐데 마연바.
Therefore, this is not something that we came up with later on. It is something that the Buddha himself has said over and over many times.
에나 예완코 시에저래 게노 uppalli 시에저래 코 예완코 uppalli uppalli 시바가 노지거래 디 답대오로요 측도서 답대오지거래 다 측교를 말고 같이 디 나로라 간리송을 세디가 녀비네나 되는 천자시나 차오 되네 배톱 전부 된리가 나와 샤야당 대 소수 죽부당을 포고요 소소를 되게 쉬어요 봐. 된지 샤야 대양 대다 똑배한 거 정황이었어. 남도가 한거 소소 된지지 나용아 잠래 소야. 대요래.
For example, there is one sutra, which is the sutra or the discourse by the Buddha requested by Upali, one of his disciples of the Buddha, Upali. And in this sutra then it is explained that, for example, even the most horrible weapons that you can find in the hell realms, as frightening, terrifying, and painful as they can be, even them, when they are perceived by sentient beings in the hell realms, all of them are arising out of concepts, out of mental concepts, and are mere appearances, even if the beings perceive themselves as dying because of these weapons. In the same way, the wonderful, beautiful experiences in the realms of the gods, where there are full arrays and vast gardens full of the most beautiful flowers of this whole universe, anything that pleases the mind, that causes nothing but happiness, wonderful mansions, palaces and houses, all of these wonderful things, even them, they are mere appearances created out of thought and concepts. Nothing is truly established, truly existent.
Teso goyong kaula ta injere la teso la yang koranchi chunni kipo dawo chi na do sares nyarba teso la koran son chunni tani duksha shewo dawo kangen chake yo ya tende churda yo sare teda tingarang yendo khawres yana ngasun jikten deda ngone chi khonso den rag marda ngone yore rawo chi chaya chi ngaso tende yong do.
And when we hear that, talking about the hells, talking about the heavens of gods, then it kind of easily appears in our mind, well, yeah, the gods, they are deceived, they live in a kind of fairy tale illusion, which is really nice. I can imagine that as being a delusion, the appearance as being a delusion or illusion. The same for the hells. The only difference is that they experience suffering out of their own delusions. But in our world, well, this seems very real.
Zukjina ngarang us thon to kendo was tene tegara data wena ngasorang ke thun to kendo ta tene da ko yore te dang ni yore do sambachi yong kendo ta yena kharsan shiwa na jen ti meke thon na jen chokumendo tanda kato de su regre jingasu phata dana Jinghombo yimba, Joshe, Marbo yimba, Joshe, Tendinda Duk Sambaji Yonga or Yanata, Koji Trichi Lamka Tahichi on the young, Kato Sietiso, Nico with Trini Haramata, the Suchik Sarwood was Chamondi, the Nasu Zoe Chichesa, Mugda Navan the Solataya, Ichilando Chado.
Alleen zum jikten die ngune yimpa li chil out of this.
Oh, ja, jong do. Tik ngune jong do.
Depengero. Because I can really see form and I can really hear the sounds. So this world is real. That's what we think, yeah. And yet we saw the example of the eyes that see something in a certain way, and yet it is not exactly the way we see it. And we talked about that the last time, for example, about colors, so whether we see something blue or something red, and we think, oh yeah, that thing is blue, that thing is red, but then when we check, then we see, and we talked about it, about the reason why, that actually seeing colors themselves, that is an act of delusion. So then when we hear those arguments, then that makes us doubt how much can we really trust my own delusions and the realness of the world. Khenpo says, for me, what was quite helpful to start doubting the reality of my own perceptions was when I observed certain oracles, sometimes they are called. In Asia you find them in Nepal or India and Tibet. They are called oracles or channelers, who are people who can who get possessed or by certain spirits, with which then they can perform healings or other things, or oracles, and so that made him doubt when he saw them operating, that maybe the way how he perceives form, for example, or the body is not exactly the truth.
Chocini Bobare, young Manada, there's Asia Shoga, Kahila, the Lapamni Dela, Laphouse in Ming, Tendicitani, Long Thunder was shining, Karicina Yasarisi and Tendi, Luxochi, Tarsachimboda was Tanda Pada Yoshi.
Tanda Mogia
Napati and Moja.
So these channelers or oracles, they are quite, famous, known in Tibet or Asia as being someone that you go for when you need some kind of divination, like what should I do when we have questions about the future and so on, or sick people, go and look out for them to get support.
Kahila Ngunia, Lag Chinlabdawashuya, Kahila Dungdinsaya, Dona La Papsidiga, La Papsaga Meti, Namshi Pa Lagni, Jambachik Namshi Zupatela Nzasonga Tende in Samari. Yena Janda Korang Namshi Malawa Chik Tani. Janda che ti support pece tami tane tene ko ci zamtado tanya ci da ni tante te ci insare.
So this is quite perhaps a helpful example, and therefore Khenpo would like to mention a few things about these channelers connected relating to that. And sometimes they get, maybe possessed is actually not the right word, a spirit enters into them. Sometimes it's a spirit, sometimes it can be a god, and it is not that they get completely possessed, so that the individual who receives that god or spirit loses their consciousness and loses their own individual self in a way. It's not like that. Rather, it is that they still remain with their own consciousness, yet the activity of the body is being carried out from another spirit, another being, which then uses the body of that channeler to do the work that is required.
That tela chik thak nyewi lor gi do chik shena tanda shangwa rambo chi Lambani Gomba Son Duncan sort of say Travagic Tanda Yor. Con Huma Tanda Pora Ranga, Pora Na Consu Gomba Yor, Ti Gombi non Yovi Kaula, Conga, Jahiajic Sa, Jahiajic Sa on Kaula, Jahia non la Rigoche over the Ku Gela Sugni. Then Lamsan Chimbo Cha Buni. Then the Cha on the Consuntina Jisha Yore, Jisha Senaya. And to have got into the rock. On the non or la panganji or Kongsan la bo on shook show on shook. The court get on it and la power, la power on the coot any Katagajin, the Koran, Lagi and Jiviado, the Intensiore. Sending Katagajin in Barnes in Juni, did you got the Tata Toncher? Then they, you know, the Tombatan the court. Nasati Lamson Pan Jamne, Traxon. Dingona old Romadoche, the Dixon Sawacha, you call it Tonja. That thing only Koran Gandela, Saya, the Tegar until Tony. That Tamchet and the Karma share traversing in the Kora Jamni, Bechupa, the Pepedo. Oh, the consul lots of Chigbari, consul Manch, Hakoyer, Kambumeti consul. Oh, then the chain, eh, Tonja. Consult Hamjek in Lorgi, the Chazan Hako. Consulos Chipa Dorendo, Tamse share, Kabumerti, then the Karma, then the Kahi or Par, Tamse the share, Consultas of Shasar Petrando, Tracaro. No, she was a return.
So there's Tanda Konglumbini la Yore, like Tanda Konglumbini la Yore, what about it?
Tanda Kona Yor, Lumbani Gumbasonte.
So there is this a story actually connected to such a situation when a monk from, at the present he is in Lumbini, in Shangpa Rinpoche's monastery in Lumbini, his name is Zotup, and at the time, many years ago, he was in Pokhara, and what happened was that he was eating chicken, and somehow he swallowed a bone, and that bone got stuck in his throat, and the throat started to swell up heavily, to the point that he wasn't hardly able to breathe, and his friends, fellow monks and other people, they thought that he was going to die. It was very, very serious. So they have, in Pokhara, the Tibetan settlement in Pokhara, they knew that there was a so-called channeler or oracle, and his name was father or grandfather Wangchuk. And so they called him to help and intervene, and he did his thing and took, there is one way to heal people where you use a katak and you wrap it up in a certain manner, and then you suck the disease out or the bone or whatever it is. So that the spirit, or God entered into him, and with the katak sucked the bone out, and the bone came immediately out, completely, fully, no piece was left in the throat. It came out, and he immediately recovered. And this really happened. There is one monk here who is the same age of the monk Zotup. His name is Karma. He's one of the monks who do Kora all the time. And also Khenpo Mirti is a fellow companion of Zotup, so they are all in the same age, and they all know about the story.
Tene ngaso lombala ngaso chonchon kala mete yore. Di tan hong lo khashi la chondu. Ko kap chiksani, kap trogo nanjo. Tene Caprogona lives on the pet sagra, Casakal Tsugunde. Then even Tamche the Yakova Zushani, no doji or the Tenji Nala, J. Nade or Tenji Look, Tenji Park. That consequence, the Empire Mevachisu, Tenji Majina, Petsani, 다 갖고 죽은 득세도 근데 깔라 하와께더니 영 하위 이제 비자래 내가는 갑대 돈셔
Pikafukiran chungju re lain belo chungju.
티 돈비 갑대는 끼고 서마르고 벌써 티 돈도 비깔라 땅아 끼요나 맨나 든지 지레셔도 대시 디메딘도 메디미
Kira la chung di labe yo.
티 메모치 비히거 마소 롬바 마치 하고
Teni kogi koa di kare gulgyo magya ya chetu nena.
zupu 똑슨 그 오나 갖고 죽은 거야 근데 이런데 다 zupu 아차선 팡로도 근데 내려서 샤는데 서치 zupu 주는 파야 매버지 근데 하와가 senjab샤ten 따따또
Pöla chungruwa.
팁벌죠
And then there was another situation when Khenpo was a child. He was told the story. Everybody knew in Tibet, in his village and around, about that event, what happened. And it was that one man, he happened to swallow a needle. And a needle, well, it's very painful when you swallow a needle. It goes into your digestive system, and well, it's, you know, it sticks into the skin, and well, it was very painful. So that he put a big leather, piece of leather around his torso, and putting inside like as much barley as he could, so that he would sit still, because with every single move he made, it would stick into his skin, into his flesh. And then they decided to call a channeler. They knew there was somebody that was doing that, so they called a channeler, and the channeler came, and he did the same thing, and he directly sucked out the needle from his belly.
돈큰가 하와디 디시요레 닌자뇨 디시가 총총깔라 콘소시고레 세텔하와시디 메모쇼 쩌그리 콩사 밥데요 코랑이 인자뇨 나 총총깔라.
And Khenpo says both of these individuals, the channeler as well as the man who swallowed the needle, I have both met them. They were very everybody knew them. It was a village, you know, countryside in Tibet, and that channeler, he was very well known.
다 덴디자다 마오레 예나야 니티 셰고야다 테칸르 세디가 나수 죽본데 메마 yen다오레 옛날에 라 옛날에 콘수따다나 나솔라 나다바 지금 마임바 갑도 저거니 갑돈던 초고요래 름바니 ndeniso 단다 리코던 샷돈던 탑고요래 근데 지금 내가 나수 죽보데 나솔나 나와나시 운이 트랍다요나 때때 돈 터야지 요마로.
Why is Khenpo telling the story? He says, you know, if our body was truly existent the way how we perceive it to be, then it would not be possible to extract anything just like that out of the body. It would not be possible. And other beings like gods or demigods, they have a different perception than humans do. They have a different perception in a different realm. So that's how a spirit or God can do that. And that also proves that the way how we perceive the body to be is not truly established in any way. Otherwise, it would not be possible to extract a bone or a needle like that. Khenpo says, I feel that this is for me a good proof that makes me realize that the body is not exactly existing the way how I perceive it to be, that it is not truly existent in the way how I think it is.
카로고 멋지게 나오니 텐디 돈 터야지 요 말에 다데 돈 텀간 그 가리에나 코 나로라 직 저거 요래 얘나 콜라 직 있다 배쳤던 게 요래나 땡가순 통구면도 와. 대 콜라 가리 슈그다요 땡가순 통구면도 와. 대 나신 지원데 지금 클래스에 대해서 나순 통도가 지금 많이 봐. 녀와스에 대해서 나순 통도가 지금 많이 봐. 소소소소리 야고사나 라인직된 권한근 통도야. 소소소리 남바사나 녀윈직된 권한근 통도야. 지금 소소소소 리그 나와 또 저용한 다티 산지 칼라 요래 지금 삼노까지 떠나 다티 인사 말에 삼바로 주니 삼노 땅 희가 말에 드프토고 말에 다땅 희가 말세는 삼노 땅 서바래도 이나한테 삼노 땅이 다티서도 인사 말에 삼바직 서직 드프토에 지래면도
alle insa mare kare insa mare
직된세에 대지 소소소 레나 참 인사 말에 생각선데 당분이 인사를 세네 직 드프토야 되면도 나솔레 캔다서 뎀바렌도 삼바지 서직 다티서도 마셔는 저긴도 강타 그냥 탐체 소소소소 나차 참 임바 이제 땡기 보여봐 그와 사자버터서 빼나가서 맨데 따와다 파트에서 소소소는 이제 땡 감기 보지 그냥 두자 링안 바다다 사가다네요 소소 레나라 배 세나차고 강간 차야 근데 소소 레나라
당보 데라 계란 칼라 리미키 두 제도기 마레스로 소소 코파나네 실라브레 당보
데 빼나 단데디 리카체 통근코 메데레 오마르와 쿠상은 저샤고 디토브레도와 다 콜레직 슉데요로 디토브레와 디토에는 디가순 통고면도 왔어
we can
디코제나레 라이나레 가리히나 디가순 통고면도 왔어 데 나와진 제디 지금 가서 라다 녀와 맨도 파서 찍찍 통고야 제 인사 말에 제 전날 라가 가서 통고 요서 그래 뭐 도시
And therefore each realm has their own way of perceiving things, and a human being, for example, would not have the capacity, the ability to suck a needle or a bone out of another human being. And in fact, when these channelers or healers operate, then it is a spirit or a god that is working through them. It is not the human being that is doing that. It is the force of that entity. And we do not have the ability to see that entity. And in the same way, other realms cannot see. We cannot see the hell realms. We cannot see the god realms, and they cannot see us. We cannot be 100% sure. Perhaps the gods do have the ability to see humans, and every realm therefore has their own way of perception, of manifesting appearances based on their own karma. So if you have a very good karma, and you might be reborn in a realm of gods, and then you see the world through the eyes of a god. If you are reborn out of other negative karma in the hell realms, then you see the world of the hell realm. And this is something that the Buddha has himself stated many times.
근데서 차로 서그래다 삼바치 셴나라고 양갑갈 근데 용거도
이네 미이나 람상 칸데스 레기레
소스나와 자메데 싫어 되네
알디 하마코 당기라베 딜라테네 텐열와 라마토 녀와 직든 차르기 마르와 녀와이나 녀와 직든디 녀와라
코로나는 그래요 얘는 홉도 그날아요 나 샹도 단다라고 얘는 컴바치 보 저거야 본데도 뭐 왜냐면 내리 지나도 홉도 절라지 신나 차오지 그 나와지 혈니 야 다대요 하셔요 대켜버면도 야 된대지 되네 나서 되게 다 배나 며칠라 투용아 야나 사지지라 랩줘야 되네 Yana Lorgichi Sart Koya. Tendre Sanyan Dawala, Tendrichi Yonkoyona, Torgon Dawala, Tendawa Chige, Malam Tandawa. Ngala Ngaso Tamsin Lati Yojere, Perna, Torgon Gonda Dawa Chigla, Perna Takipito in the Riching Malam Tang. Then it teaching Della, Yana Kibi Lorgisha Yatawach. Yana Kibi Tani Part Toyando. Yana Kibi the window, Tenjin Toyando. Yan Tega Nashin Chick Dropochig Malamon was done. Chenya, what took the Dropotel Tugnoya? Tende Kahichi Yongo, they cannot saw Tende Yojere something.
And another example is that sometimes Khenpo believes that all of you have had those experiences. It happens that before something happens, we dream about it. Maybe we dream about, coming to Kibi, meeting somebody in Kibi, having a certain experience in Kibi, hearing about the history of Kibi, or we dream about going some other place, or we dream about hearing a certain situation or story, and then the next day that thing happens.
Pena ta gondola nga ta consider which drop which la tuyaga malam ta ta sanjinga tel tukure. Ne semna la kon thoya de ngana ti pena tari chigla khola thugna tari chigla khabdu ko thunroya te marto ti gonda pena tari nyila thugna tari chigla musa ngala tate kanya yongdan mewa ro chire de ngaso samsrina kan se de sanya ko thu yong ko yobe marti chingala lebdan yo mari ngune so ngaso jikten ba nam ko semla tramba naje yena ngaso jikten ba nam kan se de ngara ta jane thu thong song re nga phan ro ja ko de le ja ngani thu song se de ko jini lewe ching marto dang gonda ngi sem kana thu yong chi yong la ta ngaso hina Driver to which may not always trying to go on as a teacher. Yena ya that yam young got tani, nay, what a man hung holla, not a notion, take Malam time. Dear that Chatham loves on a yasaro, dear consider Nalo Nalo Pachachik Sani, same Katanga Pachachik Sani, Shalok Zook in the Sontonka Yovati, best are which are over. Same canal, Pacha Sadru Chionde, Koti Nawatile. The Pacha thing was Sayati Sanyan Sakiro, Sanyan Tongro, in the Gonda Tela, the name Malamla, the Tanker. That day, Pacha Sadru Chionde, Yambatan Mazu, Ching Ton to get so Pacha Sapito, Gunton, say, the Parta Yashu, they chakan to Jankio.
Nangma di pakcha la tenne jungyo.
Temana ti gonda karechin malam tang. Jumsan shamba chimandwa. Malam ngana tang kor. Tugena jin tukuyor.
So for example, you might dream that you meet somebody tomorrow, a friend or someone, and then that really happens. Normally, we always believe that, what happens tomorrow just manifests tomorrow, just like that. It is not here in the present. And so therefore, like if I meet a friend tomorrow, it is not that I'm meeting the friend today, but it happens tomorrow. So the event is in the tomorrow and not in the today. And yet, what happens is that we can dream about something tonight that we don't know it will happen tomorrow, and then that very thing happens tomorrow. Khenpo says, for me, this is a very good proof that form, whatever we perceive as form, things that we see, come from imprints. I think that is very clear with such an example, because the imprint is already here today. The imprint then manifests in my dream. Sometimes that happens. An imprint then manifests in the dream, and the next day, then it manifests as a form. And I think Khenpo says that's really a wonderful example for how all appearances actually depend from imprints, that they are coming from imprints. Khenpo says, I think this is a very good example, that with the dream, when we dream something before it actually happens, and otherwise, how could we explain that? Did you actually have this experience ever, that you dreamt about something before it happened? Yeah, whether it was meeting someone, hearing something about a certain situation. That seems to be a quite important point, yeah? To think about. Scientists have apparently tried to investigate this phenomenon for some when, and yet they did not come up with any answer. Nobody of them could really tell what's happening there. Therefore, things that arise out of our imprints, out of habituation, and then if we have good karma, then those appearances will be pleasant ones. They will be causes for pleasant feelings, for joy and so forth. And if there is non-virtuous karma, then those appearances will manifest as something unpleasant, maybe as a situation that causes us difficulties or struggle. So this is something that the Buddha then coined dependent arising. And that can give us really some trust into the fact that everything arises out of, everything is appearance that arises out of imprints, karma and habituation.
Sanje chomdan digi sikdana 지 라한테 지기도 가서 만들이 찍찍파 통도게 돼서 콘솔 텐디 찍찍찍는 나온도 삼바 뭐 상기가 सक다나 돼서 나서라 나다 봐지 나서라 나다 봐지 나서라 베네기비 라한테 나랑 솔라 나다 요지긴 봐 상기 랭그 सक다나 코나 랭그랑 나 마임바 아네 기비 나는 데데 요 메데솔란 데지 나온도 아 공야다 오지 yang asu phasya shana yang asu khani shadi tab devara chiwar nyarbi semchen tesola chaksa da tenri khorang chona na da yosare sambaji no ten rawo tamche ji chuyin sa tamche ta ka sa wanjik den chu ndeso ka yana sanji zig da na rang rang le na chik
korang gi zige
tenri zig kyo
and then the Buddha has that capacity to perceive how the various realms are perceived in different ways by the different beings based on the different karmic imprints. So for example, you can see, human beings now they perceive this as being the temple of Kibi and them sitting there. And then he looks into the hell realms and he sees, here sentient beings experience the floor or the ground as being molten iron and so on.
Chidang yang dari chiyore, tate shinan riksare. Nyarbi semchen teso la, chumacha nyarbi semchen takang nyarbi limkan seni, lika chengan rao. Tendriki shaya, dongya, sonka tsavya, tendriki nangla kharya teso kabla, teso semchen maare songdo.
Semchen maare.
Te chengan teso. Kansari soso la kharne semchen chigran. 그 텐데 배 강가트라게 되어도 신통도 가지 말도 오늘 대소양 semchen 라마레스에 대해서 냥도 대위 나나야 송거요. 배나
딱 규마레다 딱 건설 무슨 통기요.
소소 렌는 것도 그 semchen 직 하는.
semchen 직 샤르. 디상게 기송파레 라인데. 상게 기송파레 라인데.
노르데비 배나 냥도 대위 나나는 텐데 송거요.
And in the Shravakayana teachings, they also say that, in the hells, sentient beings who are suffering, then they perceive themselves as being, killed and sliced and tortured and beaten up by other sentient beings, by somebody who beats them and tortures them and so on. And it is said in those Shravakayana scriptures that actually there are no other sentient beings in the hells that are actually torturing someone. Yet, the hell beings, they do perceive as if there were other beings who are torturing them.
nyarvi linkan teso semchen uji ma yinba sosu le nang chawyang yinba te
and in the Mahayana that's reiterated, so of course they say that is a mere perception by the hell beings.
Tende kaw kala yang tende samlan ro chi tawang de ngasu phas chig zuk tin thong do ko yore ta te ya me khila na na jenda phase yon do ko re mado tene chig semche yen pha nge me jamba jin thong da ko semche re se ya ge yang ngi tak cha ma hi wa cha ro do ko la sem yo men dan de nyarwi linkan do yena ko la sem ma do ngana chig tene jin thong do ko yore shyo yong ko re shen no cha wo yore na ko la sem ma do 당 가서 뭐 파서 통을 깔라 당 뭐냐 파서 지 셈이 요담에데 소수 따야 말도 가서 파다거나 깔리 갔어 여기서라지도
디 삼노치 거기로
때 깔깔 때셈 코롱 지그래셔
Yeah, and then sometimes we might reflect, now we look at each other and we are so convinced, there is another human being I'm talking to. I am meeting, having coffee with someone else, with another body, with another form. Well, for sure, by now we might doubt that maybe it is not exactly how my eye consciousness perceives it to be. And now we have heard that also for the hell beings, it is possible that you perceive another sentient being to be there, while this sentient being that you perceive actually is not a sentient being. It does not have a mind. And therefore, who knows, with whom we are actually meeting? Are they real? It makes us wonder, Is there actually someone with me here?
다 돈달라 가서 딘데 계셔도 시엔이 건 착을 세디가 가서 지금 나와 차서 뎀바랑 딘데라고 지금 인사마레다 삼바가지 다 예치기나 다 야슈 갈때만 태섬 잠기나요 네 배야고 착해요 살이
All of this to say what? To say that perhaps the way how we perceive appearances is not exactly the truth. And if we can trust in that, then that's very good. And if we doubt that, then that perhaps is also very good. The doubt itself is a good thing that will turn into something good, most likely.
당아서 지금 나와나신 요바티 파까샤바테라 똥바라고요. 나와나신 접다바티 파까샤바테 똥바라고요. 되네 나서라 나와나신 마르바지 샤다바텔라 텐종 라고요. 텐저 라고요. 텐저 이용데 나 고와지과 텐저 세나야 똥바 세나야 텐저
Nangshin madrupa dik tendrare.
나신 마르바텔라 되네 똥바니스.
Kakpa de la tongpa.
되래. 나신 접박가봐. 나신 접박각샤디 가리 똥거리세 나신 접박 똥거리세. 되네 다 강차가세 나신 접고 말세 될 텐종.
Tini chikpa chama song.
다 찍고 차서 나신 마르바텔라 텐종.
So then when we use the word empty or emptiness, then empty of what? It is the negation that what is empty is the negation of appearances to be truly established the way they appear. So negating that phenomena, that appearances truly exist the way they appear, that refers to emptiness. So phenomena or appearances are empty of what? Of being truly established, truly existent the way they appear. So they are empty of being truly existent the way they appear. And then dependent arising refers to that very appearances not being established as they appear. So appearances are not established the way they appear, and that is referred to as dependent arising.
다 동반니 세디 텐종 세디 기침모 임비찬이 로파 아야데오이 오마시게웨 나노나 지 손음 총총 연근데서 동반니 단 텐종 세인데서 투고 말레스 태섬 사면 게트고 말레스 갈때 지 아예 대파지 된지랑 인사레다 삼반도 태섬 삼기나요. 되네 스파셔로 시변 결세네. 지 콜비네라 레다뇨 몽고 또기 깨고야 돼서 파뇽을 줘야 지금 배는 돌아치게나 돌아때 rar 송화당 르 송화들이 차나 진영으로 오메바 직착으로 수로세나 del아고요 초라래서 띵 콜비니에서 라연에한테 계약을 네바에서 파 냠로야 탈발라 타니에 어떤지 차가래서네 노바이엔데왜 시켜는 송요래 대양 산지 깔을 때니 송샤바치래산도
아니 탄다 통반이 탄 텐주니가 치빠임바 탄당에 라비오 마레타도
아 띵하고 마상이 라차이
디랍고라타 치빠레 랍고라타 통니 탕 텐드니 치빠
디줄라와 마라 대랍 테니지니 람는데
Okay. So actually the both terms, emptiness and dependent arising, they are in a way synonyms referring to the same meaning. And they are very, very important. These notions of emptiness and dependent arising are extremely important. The Master Aryadeva, author of the 400 verses, said that those of us who have little merit don't doubt these teachings. And if you happen to doubt then with, oh, maybe it is so, maybe that could be true, then be sure that that little doubt itself is very positive, that you can really trust that this is going to reduce the karma and afflictions that keep you stuck in samsara, that keep you wandering around in samsara. And now, if we come back to the text, we have looked at the homage so far.
Tati kaptela ta ngaranga kan shitsu gutani tene chik chanchum chodu ta tap kachani chanchum chodu semke yaga semke gela ke yaga taphi kan chadanda wo chigdang hirab kachani tongba tang tenjong se yaga gowa de chigita lep thayaga taphi kan chadanda wo chig ta shivi khudra wo chigre 당가랑가 희서로 되래. 강 희희로 지금 쉬요다. 탑그쇼니
기랑기 강 시시시기 스타디.
쉬요스. 샷살이스.
And therefore Khenpo says I have tried so far to bring together and explain both crucial elements for the path, to summarize them, which are the aspect of skillful means, the generation of bodhicitta, the heart of awakening for the benefit of all beings, so that we may bring this forth generated as much as we can and train in that as much as we can, and then the other aspect being the aspect of wisdom, the aspect of emptiness and dependent arising.
Dinani pena janche gusemra wayana soso rang samno tani rangli jan kichya tsaya ta jan la soso ngone jan la pen kan to to chego samba di yola senare chaken la ngarang yarge tani 야기근 탈도데 산지 고마 접고사레 삼바가 근호데 나서 랑가 소소소야 저래 말도 되네 직 호득 직 장그 직 나용하다 직 안에 톱 용어세 디 요말 소소 랑 삼노도 안 장고래
Bodhicitta is something that really is a process of self-reflection, where you continuously train yourself in considering others and taking others' benefit more important than yourself. And the cause for then really being of benefit to others lies in us progressing and developing, growing further and further our capacities to really be of benefit to others until we become ourselves Buddhas, which is of course the highest container for benefiting others, the best, most skillful way of how we can benefit others truly. This is something that we ourselves have to do. It is not so that we go somewhere and we will receive it, this capacity. It is really something that will come from ourselves through our own practice and our own reflections.
Tela the manga shayati janlatin manga no on the richina sem the rich again over the richina some on the younger say the janla she lojong chini lengo marto tamo susu chasan hiro yomaro on tere tene the hako chavi jela the sosu sem and gervatante soso rank chegoro.
In the first steps, of course, we need to rely on outer sources. We really need to get the teachings, the instructions for how we can work on this, how we can grow bodhicitta. And then once we have learned those skills, the techniques, and have had the pith instructions on that, then the transformation of the mind towards that direction lies really in our own hands.
So Samnaya Hotani, Moni Semchan Tamchik Tonding, Sanji Koma Drugosa Re, Sambi Konote, Levi Ondiga, Dene Chanchuk Semku Domba Sieti, Dene Kivetamba, Konambi Kundani, Jank Kundani Shiare, Domba de Jank Kundani Shiare.
Once we have progressed and we have generated the motivation of bodhicitta to some extent in ourselves, at that point then again we rely on someone. We rely on somebody who then can give us the vows of a bodhisattva. So for that then we need the support again of the teachers who can give us the bodhisattva vows.
Ta chanchu kusem domba shivi kavla ngone goa te kanre sediga the nge semchen yangi ton the sanji ji koma druk yan samba te ngarang la yo chavi jela ta nge jima te tegara chek yen sene tapena jama karma wado lama cha chembo chi paw la sha ne da tane keran kom de nge khit lang ne tegara nge nyamlen chek yen sene domba se te tere.
What are the bodhisattva vows? The bodhisattva vows are when we commit in front of somebody who is testimony for our commitment, our vow, such as His Holiness the Karmapa, that I will accomplish the benefit of all beings. For their sake, I will reach enlightenment, and I will do everything to put that into practice.
That tendiga chanchuk sem sosu jang chanchuk sem go domba shu tene tongba dang tenjong se te gom javna ta ngaso sanji goma lan droya ga khasang hama jingi cha chige na shokpa ni se shia te nani hirap se te ti tongba dang tenjong gom jaga te hirap te tere.
So on the one side, there is this training in bodhicitta, the request of the bodhisattva vows, and then on the other hand, we have heard these two wings of a bird, this example. So on the one hand side, we have bodhicitta, the one wing of bodhicitta and the bodhisattva vows, and then on the other hand side, we have the wing of the practice of wisdom, which are the meditations and contemplations on emptiness, on dependent arising. And these two wings of the bird are necessary then to go to Buddhahood, to reach full awakening.
That did we tap down here, cover chen, the Pesha Kangan on the Zoo Sonko Yor Sediga, Herab de Zoo, Zawa Herabnana, Sonko Yori. Chanchuk same day Zoo, Chanchuk Jonjukanana, Sonko Yori. Then a woman Jupi Kavla, Nika Son the journey, Sonko Yori. Then the yen on the pen Talu, Lobsang was scenery. The course in the Kavla, Jamakarma Vikundane, Chanchu Chonjuk Chemo, Tokyo. Then the mixer Jamakarma with son, sing on the channel of Chembo. Then the Chediga Sosoya, mixer Carvazon was a child of Yore. The here don't have his sonjuk see it, so I hear of them, woman Jupinan Epyore, de Nasutanda, Lobsang Yore, touching. Kanhihi was Zavahir Rawin and Arangoni, check that Kanhihi, Zavahir Jean, the Roy Omadina, Nanga Chihu, the Tomba the Dinjons in the Suri. The Tachi Shropsy, your Yena, Yamon Karma is on Najing, I shall love the Ritacha Yomaro. Karma is on Najing, I shall love the Richa Yomarata, you know. So what the Lavia de la Diaro, Lavia de Sosu Yamlenche Yodame, Goya Yodame, or the Kichimoro. Shella Menaya, those Goya looks another call.
Gilad indication what Minduse. And when we take these two essential elements, skillful means and wisdom, then we can connect them to two texts that are so-called the essential fundamental texts that expone, that elaborate on these two topics. So for wisdom, we have the work by Nāgārjuna, the root verses, that explain the wing of wisdom. And then we have this wing of bodhicitta, which is then explained in Shantideva's Bodhicharya Avatara. And then there is the Madhyamaka Avatara, which is a work that unites both wings. And at present, in this very course, we do actually learn about all of these three topics and texts. His Holiness is giving us teachings on Shantideva, and not only is he teaching Shantideva, in his words, in his presence lies itself a lot of blessing. So we are so lucky and very fortunate to receive those teachings. And then we also have as a study subject the Madhyamaka Avatara by Chandrakirti, and then also we have as a subject the root verses. Khenpo says, although we cannot go very much through the text itself, he says, I really try to point out the key elements for all of us, which are then the topics of emptiness and dependent arising. He says, I try my best to really point out the essentials. I do not have the capacity to bring much blessing into that, yet for me it is really important that you see what of all of this is practical and applicable for you, what does carry meaning for each one of you. So let's forget about the blessing. Look what is in there for me, what can I apply, what is helpful for me.
Yeah. Tatani Levatangoni Dali Mayan, Janli Me, Nili Mayan, Gimem, Kanta Kanaya, Kivanaya, Yomayan, City, Dortenre. De Chidan Leo Tamche, Gata Dortenra, which Charo Yori.
Lukam Tamchiki Dorten.
Choloka Chigdo.
Ta Dorten dire, ja. Ta Dilapshana.
Dali Mayans, Di onima upo kanda se di pena ta zugdra la sobati chi kana yang se di tene chochigla kegre chochigla kegmare se ya mayamba kana yang chokana yang kegmare
Tis kuwa peching e thangbu di lakshana.
upo kanda kana yang kewa na yo man se chigoro te chasang la jari yare dale upo kanda ta ti kanga cheyang dali kewa yo mars chok kanda yang kewa yo mares upo nam dali
Nguipo kangda kangna yanta nguipo zugdra tanda
zugdra la sopa te da dali ke se de korang li ke yo che yo mares
korang le
nekab te che
tege dice. So then if we look at verse number 1, I will read it once in English. This is the summary in a sense of the whole work. It says, not from itself, not from another, not from both, nor without cause. Never in any way is there any existing thing that has arisen. So Khenpo starts speaking about the last line. So never ever is there any existing thing that has arisen. Which existing things are we talking about here? We are talking about, form, sound, and so on. And never has anything arisen from itself. That's the first point that is mentioned here, which means none of these things, forms or sounds, have not arisen out of themselves.
Tati kaula dagli ke senkhenga tani chiraba yore. Khonsu pena sugli ke jagar seyado chig tenti khaptuku lakhe yo mare yena sug yenare tachi khonsu peg tani she yona pena marda o da shoda o yena te rang dagne chig omag na yores ko teli ke yores chig rang dagne li ke yores o tenti song khonsu shake yore tandi ngasu di kaula te yo mare song yore.
For example, there are other
They love you.
There are non-Buddhist schools who assert that phenomena arise out of themselves. So, for example, if you take butter or curd, that butter and curd come out of milk. So they say that the butter or the curd, they do already exist within the milk. And here Nāgārjuna is saying that's not the case. They do not arise. There's nothing that arises out of itself. He negates that.
Tatani nili mayan se de gyame man se te nilan de shishaki. Nili mayan sinkan te ne kshok. Nili mayan se te yang chirwe na la pena sama chige pamba chig su jana te sama li pamba ke te dagli ke res khorang dagni res sama de tawani pamba te rang dagni res yena ya ta thowa tang gara tang te so jan chig res deli ke res kho dagli ya ke res jan ya ke res senkan chi yor ta ya ngasu te ma res song.
And then also Nāgārjuna negates that phenomena arise from both, from self or another. And there are non-Buddhist schools that say that this is how phenomena appear. So, for example, if you have a copper vase, then the fact that the vase comes out of the copper is an arising out of itself. And then in the process, you also need a hammer, a hand, and maybe other things to make that vase. So this is also, the vase then also comes from another. And here Nāgārjuna says that is also not true. That is also not the case.
다양 처럼 가히 제가 탐절을 줘요 말했어. 배나 삼마도서 넘보 레리지 연바다. 철마도서 넘보여봐 스스로게 다르스. 줘요 말 그런 오인일 종료를 생각지요. 어떤 가서 염에 마연 세대들.
And then there are other non-Buddhist schools who say that phenomena do not have a cause. They arise without a cause. For example, then they say, the fact that peas or lentils have a round shape, that has no cause in particular. There is actually no cause at all for that. Or the fact that thorns are sharp at the top. There is no cause for that. And Nāgārjuna again says that is also not true, that things arise without a cause.
당이 뭐와디 몰람데 돈샤기 드니 게 근원이 단다직 저와트고 상관 카히요나 소소야 데지 지 지난 적이라와
Chila kadu.
단단데랑
Tene karishen di kadu doere yang kontu sambe.
데 온테 상년이
And then tomorrow we will talk about the last point, which is arising out of another.
나년로
Oh, sorry, not tomorrow, day after tomorrow. And then now Khenpo will make the dedication, and then if there are some questions still lingering, then we will end the class here, and you can come here or to the side then to ask, so that everyone else can go.
ngaso molom tan sardi jilala phengoyona jilala phe tene trawatrago gongkan khahi lagda yona tene trawatrarona.
Okay, so we will stay here for a couple of questions afterwards, and those of you who want to go for lunch or have to go for lunch after the dedication, feel free to leave, yeah?
Sununde damje zubanye tunne niwe dana phanje de ke gana che balon chuba ye sepen solen ro ro 장저 신나 름보제 마게 바노 예제 기바년 바메 바노 고네 공든 배워요 동년 따와 름보제 마게 바노 예제 기바년 바메 바 고네 공든 배워쇼. 저 당사 그만둬.
이래다. 지금 남는 가게 누구시다. Okay, sorry. I think we have a microphone.
For everybody, I thought everybody's leaving.
Maybe not everybody's leaving. Those of you who are staying can listen to the question and answers, and we will do it with the microphone.
I wanted to ask about the monastic practice of debate and possibly the experience of attempting to train in emptiness. Is the practice of debate in monastic practice useful for perceiving emptiness?
제 소소 삼노 단단 대 가르치는 연레스리 델라테는 연레스 대 가르치는 하고스리 델라테는 하고스리야 점선 저 장게요로 근데 제원도 대 르파테 신조로 소소 르파야 genrola 페펜 그래.
The practice of debate really aims at sharpening one's ability for reasoning and logic. So this is because of that. That is because of this, and so on and so forth, back and forth. And of course, sharpening one's capacity to, for reasoning and logical arguments is of course very helpful. Die mix, karin she, die mix sang ma so ya ki sing se, ani morang kinang. Demba madru penang dire.
Okay, thank you.
Yulika, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
That's very
Ngi
kind.
mukhir tishira tsama mendo.
Khenpo says thank you, his glasses are very dirty, so that's very helpful, thank you.
Dear Khenpo, thank you very much for your teachings. Excuse me for a very stupid question. Still this question arising in my mind. So speaking about the needle or the chicken bone, when the body is not truly existing and the needle and the chicken bone are not truly existing, how can they create so much pain or maybe even cause death? Why must we take them out? Or if we do we not try to avoid the karma which would ripen on a later date?
Tanda katungi koran kondas ngeti wa peje kupa in son konda. Tanda ngatso demba madrupa ina roa mi tang kari ina nangwa de zorwa. Tene ngatso te ruko cha de ruko tang kap de so yang demba madrupa roa. Te kari jene teng gogi ore supu nangne. Jidengi demba madrupa ina. Tene kari jene tadung zup kaya ngatso shi chuya ki nupa yore demba madrupa ina.
Ta sugyaya ya demba madrupa che, tene shaya ya demba madrupa che. Yena chasang demba madrupa jikpa do chakayoro.
You know,
Yena ya demba madrupa yena no nanga yorda. No ya te ka tokyo
nangwa kak tu gima.
no nanga dore. Der tu nanga yore, kangan nanga yore. No te yore. Churni leore yena ko churni tene dewa nyonko yore, dungre nyonko yore.
Well, you know, the pain and the dying, they are also not truly established, not truly existent. And at the same time, that doesn't mean that we do not experience things. We still experience hardship, pain, joy. It is the experience, although that experience is not truly established, it still is something that we experience. Although it is diluted, although it is not truly existent, it is an appearance.
Ngaso cherung korwa thoma mebane nam tokla komdora. Yore sambate komdo bito kare. Teni ngone ta mawa bana nam tokse te pha che ka thumyen che ge kiwani kiwa pha jangni teni chona teni ngone ta naya chaya te ta ngone re mando ba samano sheni hakoya ro re do.
You know, out of our mental activity, concepts and thoughts, mental constructs, that's how we experience suffering and joy. And we have become so used and familiarized ourselves with these ways of perceiving things that we think they are very real and very true. And once, at some point, through training, at some point, one might be able to stop these mental constructs and concepts and thoughts, and then one might understand that this pain or this suffering are not something that's truly existing. Yeah.
Here, I have to adjust the volume. Dear Khenpo, you pointed out to question our perceptions and the appearances we perceive, including other beings. And we heard a lot from His Holiness how wishes for others in the end only help us on the way and benefit in the end ourselves. So I'm wondering, am I the only one in the room? And is there, you pointed out that we should doubt it and question it, but is there a statement from Buddha itself or from someone else about it?
About what exactly?
About if we are alone.
Kirang gidinde mangbo sung tering. Nangwa ditsola ta tes rabusa tes yiche che ya yuna mena tes ngatso che gubiores tene semchen shempa zu yu metian tes rabushi res ro ani dindi ndo tandangi ani kunungi mangbo kare sung sena ta ngatso shenten la mönlam gab girwa mönlam ditso ngoma chena tartugla ngatso la pengire ma to shempa la peng mixer chi kechi pengi mares sung tene nga tanda tes tetsum sa yo peje nga kangba din nga chikpo rang sare tetsum leb gidus ro ani di korla pecha nang la shempa chik sungken din de shempa chung yor bes shempa shig yor be di korla shig yor. So your question is like, do in other texts or did the Buddha say more about this? Sangye ki di korla shempa chik kare sung yor be. It's like, I'm not sure if I got your question, sorry. Did the Buddha speak about, like, am I alone in the room? This is what I got from you.
No, he pointed out that we should doubt everything we perceive,
yes,
including every other being, because in hell it works the same way. They perceive the torturers as beings, but they are not really there.
Okay.
And then he said, we should question our perception of other beings here.
Of other beings.
Right now.
Okay.
And I'm doing that right now, and I wonder if there's an answer or a statement.
Semchen shempa, semchen shempa, yu me se andi tetsum chik sana sagore sto labyor wata di kola shempa chik sungyor be sangi.
Semchen shempa yoyo mare. Yina yang yoyo mare se. Yo shivjachi. Semchen shempa de yo de yos. Nasu namkin tartu kirwa chasamba semchen malin ta attention tes. Yina yang nasu kaptu chig tu ona ko semchen yimante yang nasu de se. 소설을 읽도 그나오는 연다 코랑군의 야지 세명근지 연띵 아주 타 맞춰봐라고 그랬어요. 가서 밀라에 데려와.
Khenpo is saying again what he was saying before is that we should not doubt that there are other sentient beings. That's for sure. It's just when we are standing right in front of somebody, can we really be sure that there is a mind in that person? That he was thinking that's a question we could have.
따와라 던지 삼나도 내가라 던지 콜게 요스로 가까라 가나 가와는 가지고 이나 만나서바로 던지 콜게 요스 가지고 이나 만나서는 태섬로 사야라고 지소로 나라 가까 던지 콜게 요스데 키랑한테 인사를 했어.
Khenpo says he himself sometimes thinks about that, and perhaps you're also someone who likes to think about that.
Thank you first of all for your precious teachings. I think my answer was just answered before, but I'm not really sure about that. And my question is how it is possible for a Buddha whose view is purified of all imprints, how is he possible to see still suffering of people? So is it because of his experiences he made? So does he take this experience with him? Or how, if his imprints are purified totally, how is he still able to have imprints in his mind? Thank you.
Sangye kurang sangye sarwa dindri nyelwa yida dindro ta disu tama kurang ki thongda thonggere kyang ki sungsunga tangge chik. Yore konsola din nangwa
konsola tenji chinando gongyarendoa.
Odi kandes nang thupire ko machina phak kurang phakpa chatsarwa phakcha zetsarwa phakcha zesuna
te samno tanta yakondo te pena dere pena napa ji mukta so servo chada yona napa te mabitsala leon kare mamba te dana khu phasho te chasan servo thongdo kare 콜라 세르고 지나간다 요사래 진 맘바디 하고 그래. 얘나 맘바 코로나 새로 통고 말. 대 나와서 산지 가서라 델리신 나도 살에 공는.
It is a little bit like if you take someone who's ill with jaundice, which makes you see, or hepatitis, and it makes you see everything yellow. And then you go to the doctor. And the doctor can imagine and understand what you are feeling and what you are experiencing. It's not that he's sick, but he can very well understand what's going on. In that same way, the Buddha can.
Thank you, Khenpo, for your teachings.
This.
I have a question that refers to the first verse that we just talked about. And the last two shlokas say that nothing ever arises from a cause. And a bit earlier you explained, at the beginning of the lecture, you gave that example of going to sleep, dreaming I'm going to meet someone tomorrow, and then I meet him tomorrow. And then you said, all appearances arise from imprints. So aren't imprints the cause of all phenomena? And also Kamapa said yesterday, when I asked him what accumulates karma, he said it's this habitual tendency that is there, or at least that's what I took away from his answer. So is this habitual tendency and aren't imprints the cause for the arising of phenomena? That's my question.
Te dikavla nawa tatribi jodan drive kakayore marto nawa siji yonkayoba jolatin nawa siji yonkayoba te kakayomar.
Nangwa yongi
Kakaya yomar, nankayoro, ngaso nantokudoa.
Nangwa kagiyomar.
Nantokudoa.
First of all, Nāgārjuna here is not saying that there are no appearances. This is something he's not negating because we are experiencing this. There are these appearances that we do experience. What he's saying is that there are no cause or result. How do I say that?
Zamachik nayawate kathakayomare. Yena, tiso ngoni tongubu tana dimbachikembate karo yore sediro.
So he's refuting that there's a really existent cause and a really existent result. He's not saying that appearances do not exist. He just says there is no truly existing cause or truly existing result arising from that cause. He's not saying that there are no appearances. Appearances are there, they are deluded, and yeah. Yeah, so maybe then we,
Does
after
that
that we
mean
close.
that when he says that the cause itself is also underlying dependent arising?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, one last last question.
Ashidalek Khenpo, thank you for your teachings. I have simple question. Can you please tell me precise difference between contemplation and meditation? Thank you.
Tanda samlutaya tangomge nila tanga samlutaya shigro gomge shigro samgom shigro samgom ni ke kheba karare
samlutaya tila gomlap chokore ina ti shiapi goni gomse ta njokpi goni gomse ni ro teni 직 semtse 직 네가 저 된도 때는 njokpi goni gomse njok gomse
karasa
pena like in Chigram, Shandugachin Gomjagachigoro, Shung. Then some moment on the Gomjagachigoro, Tandangasupena Oak Jong of the Sugomdi, some not angado, then over the Shia Gums, Shiapicon Gums, Nika Yangur.
Ali uktaya la samlos ugla tam.
Take what you need and some not angado, then over Shia Gums.
Reflection or contemplation can also be called meditation. Normally, meditation can be of two types, sorry. The first one is the reflective or analytical meditation that involves some thought process. For example, I focus on the breath and I count the breath, so I have a mental activity of counting. And then there is the so-called the settled meditation, and that is like when we practice one focused attention on, a statue or a visualized Buddha form or things like that. Okay. Khenpo says, now we go.